Guys, we are ready to start this first ever speed solution solving, problem solving, Dear Prudence. I have no idea why it's Dear Prudence, kind of like Dear Abby. So let me tell you how we think this is going to work. Again, it's the first time for doing it. Please come on in, find any table that you want to be at. Ideally where there's not people filling every chair. So here's what's going to happen, and we're going to start this right away. So we're a pretty smart group, so we think we're going to get this really quickly. Okay, how many of you will admit you've ever done speed dating? Raise your hand. Come on, somebody. Okay, you guys we're too old for that. Okay, so I haven't ever done speed dating either, so if this doesn't at all resemble speed dating, so sorry. So here's what's going to happen. Team leaders, raise your hand. At every table, we have at least one team leader. Those people do not move. They stay at the table, okay? So in 1 minute, we're going to start, and what will happen is any one of you at the table is going to share an idea, a question you have. It could be a question about, I need some advice on a special event we're doing. We're going to be doing this, and I want some creative ideas. It could be a question that my boss is a jerk. How do I deal with my boss? Or I don't have a seat at the executive table. Or it could be, I'm trying to find a way to leverage social media for this event. What would you recommend? You're going to have 1 minute to share your idea, your question, what you have a concern about. Then the timer will ring. You only get 1 minute, and there'll be 6 minutes that these experts at your table will give you advice. So if you are not the questioner, you're the expert, okay? It's peer problem solving, and that's what we're trying to do in this session. So when you hear their ideas, if you have the concern or the question, feel free to jot down the solutions you get. The last minute will be a time to exchange business cards, if you want to, because you want to follow up with that person on their good recommendations, and then you move to another table. You do not need to move with your group. You could say, I love this person's ideas, I'm going to follow him or her around. You could say, my team leader, not so good, no. So I'm going to another table. You might choose to, but every time we'd like you to move with different folks so you're getting different advice. Does that make sense to people? Okay, so somebody at the table be thinking about what your question is going to be so that when we start. I'm timing it, and you're going to hear this lovely egg timer, which will sound like. Okay, that's my big responsibility is timing, which is a challenge. Okay, are you ready to start? Okay, we are, and again, there's a lot of us in the room, so we're going to try to, and I think we're going to get in 7 or 8 sessions, so everyone should get an opportunity to ask their question to a group. Okay, are you ready? And the time begins. Go. Solutions start now. Solutions.
And then you can sort of tagline at the end, this is one of the benefits of living
Well,
in.
we have the life-saving award. You can give up periodically at the council whenever you could do it.
Okay, if I can get everyone's attention for just a moment. Okay, tables at the back. Quiet tables. There we go. Okay, so I just feel like I've been the sheriff all day. I'm like, move, do this, do that. It looks like there was a lot of good interaction going. For the last 5 minutes, what we want to do is share some ideas that people heard today that they thought were really valuable. So if you had an issue, we don't need to understand what the issue was. If there's just a one statement that you can make about something you learned, because somebody that wasn't at your table might not have gotten that insight. So we're going to go to each table. Everybody doesn't have to have one, but we'll stop at each table. If there's something you picked up today that you thought was really valuable, please share that. Anybody here?
Just got it just now. When it comes to technology and you need to present it to the higher ups, don't present it as a new tool. Present how the tool can help in a solution. So say, we can fix your solution, and oh, by the way, we can use this technology to do it.
Perfect. Anybody else at this table?
Just an observation that came from an issue we just discussed right now. When it comes to whether public information law kicks in on any, particularly in a police situation, anything you can or cannot release, don't necessarily knee-jerk react to think, okay, this hasn't gone to trial yet, you can't necessarily use it. Ask the question. Couldn't hurt to ask. Maybe the answer is going to be no, but don't presume it.
Okay. How about this table over here? Anybody?
I was at a bunch of tables where they talked about, either a council member or a particular citizen that is just rabid on certain issues. And I think the best thing that I heard multiple times was find the advocate. And whether that's find the advocate for the city against a council member that doesn't get it, or finding the advocate, if it's a council member that's out of hand, can the mayor go ahead and come in and be a strong arm and step in if your city manager doesn't feel like they can go there? Or even, like in one of my situations, your advocate may end up needing to be the media because it's just really getting out of hand and your citizens don't really know what's going on because your council's kind of gone off the edge on something. And maybe it needs to be, giving a tip to those reporters that you know and love to say, hey, why don't you find out why this isn't happening? And then maybe, some negative press on the council will get them in line if every other outlet you've tried hasn't gotten there.
Okay. Yeah, be careful with that. You're right. That's a scary one. But I heard another table that I was listening to talked about if you're a staff and trying to sell something to your commission, one of the things is to start to try to build some kind of professional relationship with those folks. Because sometimes there is that kind of, we're staff and they're commissioners, but if they begin to trust your judgment, then, and so it doesn't always have to be that you wait till the crises. When you're working on something you think they're going to love, say, I just wanted to get your input on this. And then you're not getting that negative, but they begin to trust you. Okay. Yeah, be careful. Yeah, do it in public. Yeah, whatever. Okay. All right. Anybody else at this table? Yes, ma'am.
Just to follow up on the advocate idea that you mentioned, we had someone just looking for simple ideas on sprucing up their press releases or getting information out on next week is swim lesson registration. How do I jazz that up? Use advocates, find a mom whose kids took swim lessons, loved it, get a quote from her, that can be your lead line. And so the whole advocate thing can be used in a lot of different ways.
Excellent. Good. Okay, this table. Come on, there were some good ideas shared here.
Testing. So some of the things I talked about at multiple tables is when you have like a social media crisis or people that are attacking you in a certain way, mostly online or an email, one of the best things you can do is just kind of pull them in, talk to them face to face, show that you have a face, that you are an actual person, that you would like to help them. That usually makes a difference. And that's what a lot of people have said, and I agree.
Good. Anybody else here? Going? This table. Ideas? Okay.
First of all, before you purchase a drone, talk to Ken at the City of Bryan. He has all the information about drones, or quadcopters, as he called it. And also, don't purchase one until 2015.
Everything I learned from Round Rock.
Go Round Rock.
Exactly. We do not use the D word.
I need to talk to you. We bought one. A quadcopter, though.
So in one of our discussions, we talked about just how to deliver complex government information, and that can just sometimes be challenging or difficult. And, we all know the saying, keep it simple, stupid, but also think about not just reading it, but how to use the information. So don't read it, use it.
We had a situation with one of the council, of course, putting out information that was premature and not always correct. So someone indicated that they have a fact checker on their website with all of their fact sheets about different projects and everything like that. So that was a pretty cool way of helping kind of be our own Snopes.
Without attacking the commissioner, you just have the facts listed. Good. Okay, how about at the back table here? Anybody? Yes.
I know we've all dealt with that group who thinks that they are immune to the rules or above the rules, but I had a nice reminder from Michelle here at my table that we should always stick to our policies and procedures, even when people think that they're special or that they have a reason that they shouldn't, the rules shouldn't apply to them.
Okay. Anybody else here? All right, last table. You guys here? Anything? Come on, I see some hands going that way. There we go.
I just wrote one thing down that someone had said at our table when they do an event, they always ask people afterwards, just did this event build your confidence in government? And I just thought that was an interesting insight to try and be able to get that feedback from residents after you have a public event. We do a lot of public events, so I thought that that might be an interesting question to hear the answer to, maybe sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, just something a little different. I'm from Goodyear, Arizona, and maybe some of you have seen, you're talking about the press releases. What do I do to jazz them up? Or what I was interested in seeing is how many people in here write their own articles or could submit them to the newspapers. Your community. Very good. Okay, wow. Because that's probably maybe lack of staff that they have, or is it lack of coverage they're giving to your event? Why? What has caused you guys to go ahead and submit those articles? Like I have. I see it because lack of staff. They're not coming. We didn't have an Arizona Republic reporter at one of our meetings that finally came to one over an election issue. First time in more than a year. A Republic reporter came to our meeting. And they know the community paper comes every now and then. But that's what I was wondering, how many people submit.
It seems like that's a pretty common way to do it. There's not as many reporters, and so just get your own word out there. Okay, yes.
We had someone who was talking about professional development in their job and like how do you still stay motivated, and do we just call it quits and move industries or whatever it is. And I think the hard part for a lot of us is we maybe one people shops or two people shops, and within our organizations there may not be that next step up in the same field. But that's where what I've done is I've taken over the community coalition for health issues. I've kind of taken over the old town district, and I say take over, you know what I mean? Like I put my time and energy into that and help that, and that provides an outlet for me to check off some of the boxes I need internally that I don't get from my managers or from my direct supervisors. Or the city, it isn't an important part to the city, but it is. I mean, so it's like if I can start putting walkability issues or whatever it is into the city dialogue that I learned from the community coalition, or if I can get the Old Town Association to be forward-thinking and organized and support them through their marketing needs, I get to do what I want to do, but it's just not for the city. But the city still pays me to help them, so that's awesome. So.
All right, did we miss anyone? Yes, Heather.
Good afternoon. So I work with Michelle Bono at the City of Tallahassee, and we have a Facebook and Twitter account, and we have an RSS feed. So every press release that we send out automatically goes to our Facebook and Twitter. So it blew my mind when a different city here chose not to do that. They actively chose not to have an RSS feed that goes directly to their Facebook and Twitter. And I think that it's interesting that some cities are finding that when they do the RSS feed and they have the press release go to their Facebook and Twitter account, it's not getting the interaction or engagement that they hope. So they would just rather create a specific Facebook post and Twitter post specific to those two mediums. And that just kind of blew my mind because as a public information officer, you just want to notify as much as possible and put your press releases everywhere. So it's interesting that other cities have chosen not to do that specifically with a reason.
And probably more effective, right? Because it's probably more targeted towards those audiences. So, okay, so that is the end of the session. I think this was the easiest, and I apologize. I didn't even think I introduced myself when I started. So thank you, Heather. I'm Michelle Bono with the City of Tallahassee. But one of the things we try to do at 3CMA is come up with new ideas and new ways of approaching things. What is that? And still beg and borrow. That really was what this was about. It's about a chance for you guys to work with each other, get some new ideas. honestly, if it wasn't valuable to you, put that on the evaluation, because we don't want to bring it back and do it again if you didn't find it valuable. If you found it valuable, be sure you write that too, so we know we can do it again. So thank you guys for coming. John, yep. Oh, hang on. They want you to be on the microphone.
Here and also at other 3CMA conferences, it seems like a lot of people, and sometimes some new timers have issues with kind of commissioner interaction, especially if they're kind of going too far and things of that nature. Obviously, we're very blessed in Leon County. We have a council manager, form of government. Commissioners very clearly understand the role that they're supposed to be, going through the county administrator. Obviously, sometimes people step beyond that, but there are a lot of seasoned individuals in the room that have dealt with that, and there are ways to go about that, and also you understanding your policies and procedures so you don't have to deal with some of these issues. I mean, I really recommend and advise that you step out and talk to a lot of people that have been in these roles for a while to help you through that.
Okay, I think the plan is that the somebody who's smarter than me knows this. Restaurant romp, I think, starts at 5:30. Is that right? Reception at 5:30, then restaurant romp after that. So thank you guys for coming. Appreciate you doing it. It was fun to see all the interaction.
Yeah.